This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth, and what you're looking at here, guys, is an article from the World Economic Forum, and it's titled, "As Cases of Mpox Rise Again, Here's What You Need to Know." And before we get into this article, I want to remind you that it's the World Economic Forum who are the guys who engaged in predictive programming back in 2019 when they engaged in a simulated event imagining what a global pandemic might look like. I reported on that in March of 2020 in this video titled, "We Need to Talk About Event 201 and the COVID-19 Predictive Programming Campaign," where I had my friend Jason Burmis lay it all out for you, how back in 2019, they had a simulated scenario of an imaginary event picturing what a global pandemic might look like and what the global response to this pandemic would look like. And then just a few months later, it all played out in real life exactly as this Event 201 predicted. And in case you guys didn't know, we have an exact similar scenario coming from this organization, the Nuclear Threat Initiative. In this report titled "Strengthening Global Systems to Prevent and Respond to High-Consequence Biological Threats," here they teamed up with the Munich Security Conference to engage in this exercise. The fictional exercise scenario portrays a deadly global pandemic involving an unusual strain of monkeypox virus that first emerged in the fictional nation of Britannia and spread globally over 18 months. Unfortunately, the exercise scenario revealed that the initial outbreak was caused by a terrorist attack using a pathogen engineered in a laboratory with inadequate biosafety and biosecurity provisions and weak oversight. By the end of the exercise, the fictional pandemic resulted in more than 3 billion cases and 270 million fatalities worldwide. Here is the scenario that they presented here. It started with an attack on May 15, 2022, monkeypox outbreak in Britannia with 1,400 cases and only 4 deaths. It was only like 6 months later that 83 countries are affected, 70 million cases, 1.3 million deaths. And then just 5 months later, 480 million cases, 27 million deaths. It's revealed that a terrorist group is the origin of this through infiltrating a civilian biolab. And then the scenario ends with 3.2 billion cases and 271 million deaths globally. This is exactly what they pictured in this scenario. And interestingly enough, when it comes to their ideas of a terrorist group being the origins of this, back then, in November of 2021, you had Bill Gates warning of a smallpox terror attack as he was seeking research funds. And you know, it's interesting. That was in November 9th of 2021, talking about this potential smallpox terror attack. And then November 17th, 2021, vials of labeled smallpox were found by a lab worker cleaning out a freezer in Pennsylvania. This is, again, a story I dug up from, back in 2021. And I'll remind you, too, of the Wuhan lab that did gain-of-functioning research on monkeypox that I also reported on back in May of 2022. Here it is. The infamous Wuhan lab recently assembled monkeypox strains using methods that were flagged for creating contagious pathogens. The Wuhan Institute of Virology assembled a monkeypox virus genome, allowing the virus to be identified through PCR tests. Using a method researchers flagged for potentially creating a contagious pathogen, the National Post can reveal. And I also reported on this back in May of 2022 that the Wuhan lab published a study manipulating H7N9 viruses to be more lethal. A scientific journal published by the top Wuhan Institute of Virology researchers shared studies appearing to engage in gain-of-function type research, a controversial method of studying pathogens that can increase their lethality. So we have them doing this with monkeypox while they're talking about this scenario of a terror attack. And here you have a video of Bill Gates saying that they need to come up with $1 billion a year to have a World Health Organization task force that would carry out germ games, as he calls it. And then just like a year later, in April of 2022, we saw this, the proposal for amendments to the International Health Regulations of 2005. This is where the World Health Organization was seeking to strengthen their preparedness for responses to health emergencies, guys. And when you read this, it essentially gives the Director General of the World Health Organization all of the power. Individual nation states would relinquish their sovereignty, and essentially the Director General of the WHO would have the final say over what your own small little local municipality is going to do in response to a global pandemic. This is absolutely insane, guys. And then, of course, they moved on to placing a $119 million order for 13 million freeze-dried monkeypox vaccines. Isn't it incredible that they're all already developing these? And I discovered that these are the guys who are probably going to come out on top because their shares have soared since the WHO announced this. GeoVax and Cigna Technologies shares have soared after the World Health Organization declares Mpox a global health emergency. Isn't that interesting? Despite the fact that health officials are now saying that the risk of a more fatal Mpox outbreak remains very low, despite this so-called public health emergency. They're now advising countries to plan for their vaccine monkeypox outbreak. You've got Belgium becoming the first country to introduce compulsory monkeypox quarantines. Anyone testing positive is going to have to isolate for 21 days, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to talk about all of this, including, this, which I posted in response to that. Move over, COVID-1984. Monkeypox is the new fear factor in town. You've already got, experts warning, even though experts are warning that monkeypox is spread through close body contact and not through the air in people that aren't sick, folks. So we're going to talk about all of this and much, much more in this video. But really quickly before we do, guys, I'd ask that you check me out here at subscribestar.com/pressfortruth. If you appreciate my efforts to bring you this info here, you can do $5 a month, $10 a month. Whatever is within your means is very greatly appreciated, guys. You can check that top link in the description below. Thank you so much to anybody who takes 1 minute today to contribute to my efforts here at Press for Truth to bring you this info. All right, guys, how many of you guys remember pox parties? Or when, you were kids and your parents would try to purposefully have you infected with something like chickenpox. Pox parties, also known as flu parties, are social activities in which children are deliberately exposed to infectious diseases like chickenpox. Such parties originated to get it over with before vaccines were available for a particular illness, because childhood infections might be less severe than infections in adulthood. For example, measles is more dangerous to adults than it is to children who are under 5. Deliberately exposing people to diseases has since been discouraged by public health officials in favor of vaccinations, which has caused a decline in the practice of pox parties, although flu parties saw a resurgence in the early 20s. Now, they say this is being discouraged by public health officials, but not according to this clip. Look at this. From the horse's mouth, Mr. Vaccine and Mask Mandate himself, Dr. Anthony Fauci, saying on television that you do not need a vaccine. Having exposure to a virus is the best possible protection you can get. Listen to it from the horse's mouth.
But she's had the flu for 14 days. Should she get a flu shot?
Well, no. If she got the flu for 14 days, she's as protected as anybody can be, because the best vaccination is to get infected yourself.
Interesting.
And
if she really has the flu, she definitely doesn't need a flu vaccine. If she really has the flu,
she should not get it again.
No, she doesn't need it, because it's the most potent vaccination is getting infected yourself.
When you get infected yourself, you do not need the vaccine. It's the most potent and effective way to deal with this. This is what Dr. Anthony Fauci said back then. Of course, he has completely changed his tune because he is a puppet of the medical industrial complex. By the way, guys, this is what some random mosquito now looks like after drinking the Democrats' blood getting hit with 502 booster shots and 16 different antidepressants. And unfortunately, it's funny, but it's not, because it's partially true. And these are the companies who are going to come out on top, it looks like, in this race for the monkeypox vaccines. You've got GeoVax Labs, a biotech company that focuses on developing vaccines for infectious diseases, including Mpox. The company has been involved in Mpox vaccine research, and the WHO's emergency declaration has likely boosted investor confidence in the potential demand for its vaccine candidates. You also got Cigna Technologies. Cigna Technologies specializes in developing countermeasures to treat smallpox and related diseases, including Mpox. It has this antiviral drug that everybody's now interested in, especially since the World Health Organization declared Mpox a global health emergency. So these are the companies that you got to pay attention to. You have to follow the money when you're doing these things. These are the guys who are going to get the big contracts. But this World Economic Forum article that says, here's all the things you need to know, was actually originally written in 2022, and they recently updated it for August of 2024. They get into what is it, how does it spread, what are the symptoms, what's the prognosis, how is it diagnosed, how is it treated. But what's important here to take away from what the World Economic Forum is saying is how the public health authorities are going to respond to this. And lo and behold, you've got public health investigations, genome sequencing, vaccinations, and robust surveillance like contact tracing and infection prevention and control. Strong surveillance and diagnostic systems partnered with swift information sharing has ensured that health authorities can rapidly report and communicate the outbreak. And I'll remind you guys, contact tracing was one of the main ways that they were able to inflate the cases numbers. Because you may not remember, but just going to a restaurant, you at one point in time had to give them, your name and number. And if that restaurant discovered that one of their patrons tested positive for COVID-19 at the same time that you were in that restaurant, or 200 other people were in that restaurant, well, guess what? Through contact tracing, every single one of those people were now considered to be a case. And that's why the numbers were able to skyrocket, and they were able to continue to ramp up the fear campaign surrounding this, and they were able to get people to run out and take part in this global inoculation program, guys. Even though we do have reports coming out proving that, lockdowns and things of that nature did nothing. It only reduced COVID deaths by 0.2%, according to this Johns Hopkins study. We find no evidence that lockdowns or school closures or border closures or limiting gatherings or anything like that have had any noticeable effect on COVID-19 mortality. So just wanted to bring all of this to your attention, guys. If you didn't see my video from yesterday, WHO names Mpox a global health emergency, while the Canadian government warns of a new hypothetical virus, make sure you check that one out, guys. There's lots of good information contained in there. But just wanted to bring that to your attention. It's not the first time that we've seen something like a imagined scenario come to life, and they are now already conducting, these types of scenarios for monkeypox that would envision 3.2 billion cases and 271 million deaths. What are they trying to tell us this time, folks? And how are you getting prepared for this? Just wanted to bring all of this to your attention. Once again, guys, if you do appreciate my efforts to do so, don't forget to check me out here at subscribestar.com/pressfortruth. Again, $5 a month, $10 a month, whatever is within your means is very greatly appreciated. Again, I can't continue to do this work without the support coming directly from you, the viewers. So once again, thank you so much to everybody who contributes to my efforts in this way. That's all for today, guys. Just wanted to bring all of that to your attention. If you appreciate my efforts to do so, please click that thumbs up button, share this video, and stay tuned, guys. We're going to have more video reports coming soon, God willing. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.